Hey everybody, it's James here from NeuralNet Games, and welcome to item discussion vid number 5. We're talking about the Prosperity 1 small item slot. If you haven't watched the rest of the series, I'm going through every single item by Prosperity, by slot, and this is the last one for Prosperity 1, so make sure you're subscribed. I'm going to go all the way through to Prosperity 9. What? Slot by slot, Prosperity by Prosperity, because I love Gloomhaven and it's fun. So what we're talking about here is the 3 items, the 3 potions, the stamina potion, the healing potion, and the power potion. What makes them work? What's better than the others? I think it's fairly obvious, but we'll talk about it in detail. And also, just so everyone knows, just to remember, anything that's 10 gold is what's called a rentable item. If you're at max reputation, it costs 5 and you sell it back for 5. So just remember that. If you're ever low on items, like if you have empty slots is what I'm trying to say. If you have empty slots, you can go and rent one of these smaller items and then just sell it back when you have more gold, when you can fill the slot properly. All right, let's start with the worst of the bunch. We're going to start with this minor healing potion. It's not as good as the power potion. It's not as good as the stamina potion, and here's why. 1, healing is worse than doing damage and getting cards back to do damage or status effects. No doubt. Next, it doesn't scale as well. So at beginning level, a brute has 10 hit points. Healing 3 hit points is 30% of that. That's okay. You get to heal 30% of your life force without even playing a card at any time on your turn that you want. That's good. You get to level 9, that's 11.5%. It's 1/8 and change, right? And so that means it, is basically 1/3 as effective when you're at level 9 as when you're at level 1. That is not the case for the stamina potion, but we'll get to that later. So, who should use it? Usually the brute and the scoundrel are kind of the 2 best because they don't have a lot of healing. The scoundrel's pretty squishy. Like, I would say almost never take it in a 4-player party because you're always going to have some sort of healing or something. But in a 2-player party, if you've got a scoundrel or a brute, often it can be useful, but I still wouldn't take it before the stamina potion. And only sometimes would I take it before the power potion. Alright, next we're talking about the minor power potion. Why is the minor power potion better than the minor healing potion? Because damage, baby. Damage is king. That's why. A dead monster can't attack you. Hence, you don't need a healing potion if all monsters are dead. That's not always the case, but in overall, damage is better than healing. And so when we're talking about, where do we decide? We should skew towards damage more and, to killing monsters before we skew to healing. Because with healing, you can keep yourself alive for a long time, but it doesn't mean you're actually going to beat the scenario because you're not actually putting monsters in the grave, which is the most common way of beating a Gloomhaven scenario. So when we're deciding whether we should take the power potion or not, think the power of multiplication. The more targets the class can hit, the better the minor power potion. So it's really good for somebody like the Spellweaver, and it's really good for somebody like the Tinkerer. And with the Spellweaver, we've got Fire Orbs, we've got Impaling Eruption at level 1. With the Tinkerer, you've got Net Shooter, you've got Ink Bomb. You can add decent amounts of damage with the power potion. And so it's, good for classes that can hit a lot of targets. So how does it scale? It scales better than the healing potion, but worse than the stamina potion. And I'll explain why in the stamina part. But scaling wise, not quite where it needs to be. It does run out of steam later on, but early on, sometimes on AoE attacks, it's like a 25% plus buff. Hopefully the video is being helpful so far. I just wanted to let you know I've got a Patreon. I've got all kinds of cool exclusive benefits like coming to play games with me on Tabletop Simulator. And I've also got, all these different campaign plays where you can see me live, unedited, cursing, making mistakes, being crazy, strategy, tactics, yammering on about things like I'm doing right now. And also I wanted to let you know I've got a Twitter as well. I'm gonna have board game news and just all kinds of fun stuff on there. Anything that, feels good for me to post. It's gonna be really fun though, so make sure you follow me on Twitter as well. And let's get on to the Minor Stam. Okay, let's talk about the Minor Stam Potion. Definitely the most powerful small item at Prosperity 1, and one of the more powerful items in the game overall. So the Minor Stam Potion, before we get into its power, let's talk about the nerfs. First, it started out as, get back 2 discards. Then, as of Jaws of the Lion, it was nerfed down to 1, get back 1 discard. And there's also, you can even nerf it further. There's what's called an Endurance Potion. It's a community created card to use in the place of stamina potions, where essentially it does more of what is in the spirit of a minor stamina potion, which is to increase your longevity. So if you're playing with the nerfed official version, which is retrieve 1 card, make sure you use it when you have uneven number of cards in your hand. So example, 9 cards in your hand is 4 turns with 1 card left over in your hand. If you use your Minor Stam, you go to 10 cards essentially, and that is 5 turns of longevity. So when you play it when you have an odd number of cards, you will increase your longevity by 1. If you play it on even turns, where you've got 8 cards, say, going from 8 cards to 9 cards is still only 4 turns of longevity. Okay, that's enough of the nerfs and the explaining, and I'll put a link to the Endurance Potion down in the description. And the next thing I want to talk about is scaling. So unlike the Healing Potion or the Power Potion, the Minor Stam scales really well because it essentially allows you to play any card you want more often. And this means that as you get to level 8, level 9, you can repeatedly spam your higher level, more powerful cards that are not losses, and some of these can just break the game. And another factor in the power of this card is that small items are the easiest consume item to refresh via other means. I'm not going to spoil things, I promise. I'm holding it in. So those 2 things mean it's actually really easy to abuse certain super powerful combos. And I think that, when you first play the game, you look at Stamina Potion, you're like, whatever. And then as you play the Stamina Potion, you play longer in Gloomhaven, you're like, yep. And so it's just really, really good. Anyways, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you found this interesting. Subscribe so you can, get notified on all future item discussion vids and other stuff I've got going on. And I just want to say thank you to my subscribers and thank you so much to my patrons. I couldn't do it without you.